here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner of Willie ride the curb. Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
All the hills and spills, not necessarily the thrills and spills, the hills and spills up the mountain are gone this week. This is mainly here on the Global Sim Racing channel due to a trip back from the land down under as we head back to British shores. A small adventure due east for me to a circuit flatter than a sheet of paper. Paper. Let's get things right. It is Farmer's Land, as Snetterton will set the scene for the third round of the CTC Lotus 79 series on iRacing Live and the Global Sim Racing channel. Good evening, race fans, to the countdown to green, where drivers will be wondering about old acquaintances be forgot and never brought to mind. I am your charismatic host for this evening, Mr. Hashtag Do You Mind himself, Jake Sperry, as we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Old Lang Syne. Joining me is the Sami Zayn to my Kevin Owens, Sean Crackers Ambrose. Amjad Yaman will be on camera duty for this evening as the legendary Dougie of the Beard has provided said cameras. But Sean, 2017 is coming to a close, and this CTC Championship has been a joy to behold from minute 1 to last. But a quiet bumble through the country lane surely for one last go around.
We're not going to be dropping any bombs today, at least I hope not, Jake, but we are here in Norfolk. Yes, the Snetterton circuit was first opened in 1951 on this former World War II Royal Air Force base, and even the U.S. Air Force used that airfield just a bit. And the original circuit was constructed on the old runways and taxiways left here, but the track has undergone many renovations and upgrades. The most significant changes been completed back in 2011. Now, they've got 3 different configurations of this track. Today, we're going to worry about the 300 circuit. Yes, the 300. And it is the longest, 2.98 miles with 13 corners, and hosts various international championships, including the British Formula 3, British GT, and British Touring Car Championships. Several of the corners on the track pay homage to famous drivers, including Hamilton, Brundle, and most recently, the Montreal hairpin was renamed to Wilson in honor of the late IndyCar driver, Justin Wilson. Now, the best way to get an idea what it's like to get around Snetterton 300 today is to hop on board the GSRC Lotus 79 and take a lap around.
All right, we've got Juha Nuralampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Snetterton. Down into Riches, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of braking, so passes will probably require to be fully alongside your competitor. Don't drift too wide in the middle so that you can just glance both apexes, then be ready to really woe it up into Wilson. Passes can happen here, but the real difficulty will be getting the power down on the exit. The Lotus doesn't like accelerating out of slow corners, but before you know it, you're into Palmer, which is the first corner in the infield section. It's a lot faster than you'd think, and you want to make sure you carry your speed well out of there. That's because Agostini is going to be a good place to attempt to pass, so you want to keep yourself from being vulnerable. Avoid the temptation to turn in too early to this corner because the apex is as late as they come. It's a short burst down to Hamilton where you really don't slow the car that much through this left flick. Then cross the track and stab the brakes for Augies. This hairpin will be another one to try your patience with the gas pedal. Finally, there's the ever-critical Williams. It's a medium-speed sweeper, but with it leading onto one of the longest straights, avoiding a bad exit is very much in your best interest. You get a little rest flying down the Bentley straight, but then comes the scary braking into Brundle. Trying to slow up the car through this sweeper is no mean feat because you need another stab of the brakes in Nelson right when the car is unsettled. Try not to hit that tall inside curb, then get back on the power for the short blast to the bomb hole. You'll need a big lift to get it through, and try not to lose the car as it gets light on the exit. Finally, there's Coram, where the car can really show off the power of the ground effects. Drivers will try to bleed off speed and hug the inside to give themselves a nice wide line into Murray's. Once again, don't clobber that big sausage curve, and then try to find the loud pedal as soon as it grips. You'll need all the speed you can down the front stretch where you've now hopefully finished a lap around Snetterton.
And there we see the Lotus 79 having a fantastic little run around this beautiful circuit of Snetterton. And of course, the Lotus 79 is going to have itself a challenge today, especially with the conditions that we have brought up. For example, round 3 of 12 here today, 26 laps worth of action. There are no stops for fuel. You are qualifying, you are pushing, you are going to be racing at the very, very top of your abilities. What is also having to be remembered is that the championship points are official iRacing point standings, so you've got to make sure that you keep your eye out on who is impressing. Someone who did, though, in the last round of the championship was Nuno Moreira, Sean, who managed to break away, get himself a victory. Arguably, he's been entitled for 2. As we look at things in qualifying, he's 3/10 up on Steve Bycroft.
He is, and boy, Nuno seems to have a handle on it. You know, reading the forums throughout the week, Jake, kind of, some seem to prefer the 200 layout for this Lotus, and weren't very fond of the 300 layout. But Nuno Moreira, right now, based on his time, clearly seems to have a little bit figured out here this week with Snetterton 300 for the first time here for the CTC Championship.
Yes, and this 200 circuit will be very, very crucial. Michel Vandenberg, though, in the 3 will make his drive up to the line. 134.760. He steals pole position by 0.03 of a second overall as the second lap times look to come in. Timu Vaskalampi has not set a lap time as of yet, and it's a 38.2 from him. He will go on to the 6th row as things stands at this rate, but Moreira will not set another lap time here, so he's in trouble. Matt Wood to the line, though, here, Sean, and this could be a very crucial lap for the 5.
Nuno makes a bit of a mistake and gives up on that second lap. Matt Wood comes across, that puts him up to 3rd.
Oh, by the smallest of margins as well, 1,000th of a second. Was there a response by Bycroft? The answer was no. He was slower on that lap by 1/10 of a second, so Steve Bycroft, not much more that he could do in this situation. Now, there's only a couple of drivers who can change the momentum of this one. One is Matthew Molnar in the 18 machine as he rounds himself and actually stops at Augies there, the right-hander. So now it all comes down to Michel Vandenberg, and with him out and away, well, he's only got one option left here, Sean. He can go a little bit faster. Big twitch, though, as he heads through Brundle.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do just a little bit better. Doesn't seem like there's much reason to be any better, but let's see what he can do.
A statement. That's the only reason you get better. You put in the lap time and you go, I can go just a little bit quicker than that, as he heads through Murray's and heads to the final corner. This smaller kink turn 13, which, Sean, you're going to protest. That's definitely not a corner. Across the line he goes then. 35.1 does not improve his time, but with everybody across the line, the grid will be as follows. Michel Vandenberg then back to very, very comfortable ways at this stage. He's on pole with a 134.760. Joining him on the front row is the championship leader, Nuno Moreira, with Matt Wood 3rd and Steve Bycroft 1,000th behind in 4th. Adam Frazier will start from 5th position with good old Barry West in 6th, having a good run here at his home circuit. Peter Konechny will start from 7th with Martin Blaise, the French driver, I do believe, in the the Canadian driver, French-Canadian, there in 8th position. Tony Lotus will start from 9th with Ben Gillet rounding out the top 10.
All right, we'll drop down to 11th. It's going to be John Stevens starting there. Keith Herner, start 12th today. Timu Fascalampi, 13th. 14th, Matt Molnar. 15th, Robert Simpkins. 16th, Robert Cottle. Jason Wallett's going to start 17th today. Kurt Bennett, the last driver to take a time. Texas own, he'll start 18th. 19th, Cedric Krolchik. 20th, Scott Anderson. And in 21st is going to be Alan Pajari. Going to start back there. 21 cars in this field today, buddy.
And it's worth reminding people there is one split here today, not a popular one here, right at the end of the year. Most drivers decide to take the week off, spend time with family, have this as a drop week. But a few drivers here today looking to score some points. And of course, that is going to be very crucial later on in this event because it is one split. There are less points available at this race. So for Vandenberg, if he wants to take some points out of Nuno Moreira, he's going to have to hope the championship leader runs into big issues here today. 2 minutes, though, to get yourself gridded up, or you start from the dreaded place that we call Pit Road here today. And, well, there is opportunities available then for certain drivers to step up or step aside. Plenty have stepped up, but how many have managed to make Nuno Moreira step aside? That's been the big question on the minds of a lot of people, and a lot of people will be wondering how the action is going to fare today. 26 laps is always going to be a difficult challenge here. Morning conditions, it seems, as well. Well, late afternoon, actually. Track temperature, though, still up pretty high at 28 degrees. So it's there. There is something to work with here, but heavy, heavy crosswinds at 26 kilometers an hour. They are going to be playing a massive factor here today. Watch out for vehicles getting very twitchy when it comes onto the brakes at what is the most technical layout of this Snetterton circuit. Still waiting for the likes of Nuno Moreira and Sean. Any last thoughts?
Nothing here to knock that wind down. That will be an issue. You're right. But listen, they're going to be going for broke in Riches on the start.
Riches on the start. Go for broke indeed. Half a minute left then before they get themselves on the grid. And that is worth talking about. This is an ex-airfield that was said. There is going to be a lot of wind sweeping across, and there's nothing really to break that, though. Nuno Moreira gets up onto the grid then. The engine notes rise for 26 laps. One of the final broadcasts of the year on the GSRC. And let's get ourselves going. Great start from Michel Vandenberg here at the front, as now Matt Wood thinks about making it too wide with Nuno Moreira into Riches. Doesn't happen. Side by side behind, though, for position 4 is Bycroft having to deal with Frazier. And, well, there's trouble behind, right in the back. Stevens there getting involved. The mid-pack, Molnar in there. Teolis getting involved. Herner getting involved. Gillet getting involved in that one as well. That's a massive, massive shunt. We'll come to that one later on in this event. And, well, still got side by side Robert Simpkins going at it now with the driver of Robert Cottle. Cottle was not going to bottle it.
Yeah, that all started with Teolis and John Stevens getting the worst of that, already having to take a tow. Horrible start.
Horrible start, not the way that a lot of drivers would have wanted to start at Snetterton, but of course it is a narrow front stretch and you have to be careful about where you place that vehicle. 3 wide is a commodity that is very seldom sold, shall we say, at this circuit. Cedric Krolchik, though, a driver who didn't qualify, didn't set a time. He was struggling a little bit with technical difficulties. He's got Vascalampi just in front, and this straight is going to become so vital later on in this event. Everybody is going to be using this to try and make the move. If you can't make the move here into Brundle, you've got to do it on the brakes here into this next right-hander out on the circuit known as Nelson. And, well, right now, Vascalampi having a good run through the bomb hole. Krolchik starting to drop a little bit.
Robert Simpkins back there at 11th. He's up 4 spots, Jake. Starting to close on Krolchik.
People starting to make some moves here in the early stages, but there is one driver out in front. That's Michel Vandenberg in the number 3 machine. The gap, 0.4 of a second between himself and the driver of Nuno Moreira in second position. Matt Wood, Bycroft, Frazier, Barry West. Top 6, 7. In fact, the top 8 remain unmoved here in this event. It's only behind that you look at drivers making positions. Anderson up 8 off the beginning. Pajari up 6 off of the beginning. A lot of drivers running into heavy, heavy issues. In fact, 3 have yet to come back across the line. Teolis, Gillet coming down into server stop, and John Stevens as well. 3 retirees as things stands, but the battle for the lead, Moreira's searching.
He's searching, but Vandenberg really, really moving well right now. Got things held down pretty well. There we go. Moreira breaks a little late right there, but loses it on the exit. Vandenberg looking pretty cool here, Jake.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all here as he jinks hard to the right-hand side to try and break the toe of Moreira here. Not really getting that close-down effect that we normally get to see, but both of them trying to drop Matt Wood at this situation. You can see the very difficult corner there of Nelson. And look at Adam Frazier getting it almost all shades of wrong there. That is the worst possible line you can take in because you're trying to brake whilst you turn into the left-hander. And you can either not do that and lose upwards of a second on your lap, or what you do is you take it and you really risk the chance of spinning that vehicle.
Yeah, he's lucky Barry West wasn't a little bit closer to him. That could have been trouble for Barry. I see back there, Alan Pajari just got by Scott Anderson.
And here we go. Lead. And it's the big look then from Nuno Moreira. It doesn't quite happen the way that he wanted it to. And, well, that wasn't quite the chance for Moreira yet. But Vandenberg holds the defensive line in the Ferrari and holds that position just for the time being. And the more they battle, the more chance that Matt Wood is coming into play as Moreira runs incredibly wide through turn number 3. Through that long, sweeping left-hander of Palmer, and that's going to mean that he's going to drop back into the clutches of Matt Wood. Let's get a replay, though, of what exactly happened at the start of this event here. A big incident that happened right from the get-go, and I didn't quite get a catch of this one here, Sean, but you were the man who did.
Well, Jake, it really just kind of a mess. John Stevens kind of in the middle of all that caught the worst of it, but it started with Teolis getting tipped. He spins, then collects Stevens and Matthew Molnar. A couple other cars involved in that all get collected right there outside of turn 1.
And that's not ideal, especially when the fact that that vehicle is planted on a very fast apex which goes to the right. And that's why Riches can be such a really difficult corner, because you always get caught in that situation, Sean, where there's not much going on. Looking though at Martin Blaze, he's struggling. He's lost it to Krolsik and Vaskalampi over the course of 2 corners.
Blaze trying to hang on right now.
You can try. I don't know.
Vaskalampi there had a close call. Sorry, I wasn't live. I'm live now.
You're having a look. You had a look, and now you got to have a bit more of a look. Vaskalampi then trying everything to break away from Krolsik and Blaze, get back into the scrap with Konechny and Barry West for 6th and 7th out on circuit. But at the front again, Moreira has a little bit of a look, doesn't happen. Matt Wood's got to be careful though in 3rd position that he doesn't get jumped or bumped off the back of this train and live in no man's land for the rest of this event. It's a lonely road, and he hopes that it's not the only road he's ever known.
I see what you did there. White Snake reference there. You know what? I've been watching a battle developing here between Herner and Pajari back here in 13th place. They've swapped positions, I think 3 times now here, Jake, early on in this race. And I don't know if it's been mistakes or just raw pace, but these two having a little bit of fun right now. And, well, now making a liar out of me, Herner starts to open it back up just a little bit. But I thought Pajari was going somewhere until Herner just got around him again.
Well, he thought he was going somewhere. It turns out that he's going nowhere fast is the right answer for that one. But still, Krolsik and Vaskalampi here as they head through Coram, and Vaskalampi a lot quicker as he heads through the second part of that apex. It's one of those corners which you can open up and push and really get right back into play when you have the big opportunities that present themselves. But here comes Moreira again, looking for the look then as they head to Wilson. That one not going to work as they get on the brakes into that right-hand 180-degree hairpin. And Moreira's searching, but he's not finding any answers just yet. Vandenberg putting up a stern response here in comparison. And, well, Vandenberg's not going to let anything go for love nor money.
No, boy, Nuno pressing hard right now. trying to shake Vandenberg, and Vandenberg will have none of it.
Well, if you have none of it, that means that there's more seconds for the rest of them here as Konechny now comes under pressure from the driver of Vascolampi as they headed through Hamilton, the left-hander into Oggies. Here, this right-hander looking to try and get the run here. Very difficult right-hander before you head into Williams here. This long 90-degree right-hander which sweeps, and a little bit of check up there on the exit from Barry West, just getting a little bit careful. Konechny now the man under pressure. They all close in using the total air advantage on the brakes into the left-hander of Brundle. You can see now how the accordion effect starts to come into play.
Pack of angry vipers just clawing at Barry West here, waiting for him to make another mistake. Boy, and here comes Konechny now. Starting to get in the toe here just a bit. Gets to the chicane here.
And gets it nice, but look at this for the front. Around the outside, tries Morera, and it doesn't quite pay off just yet. He was trying it, but he just didn't have that corner set up the way he'd like to. And it's uber defensive driving right now from Vandenberg. This is lap 6 of 26. He's got to do another 21 laps driving like this, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that. He's probably hoping that Matt Wood gets involved, back up Morera into Matt Wood, so Matt Wood can start having a scrap here, and it's just not working at this stage. Back, though, to Krolczyk and Vascolampi now still wondering what he has to do. Offensive and defensive driving at exactly the same time, far too deep into the corner.
Far too deep, and here goes Cedric Krolczyk taking advantage of that mistake.
Goodbye and good night. And look at the gap he's pulled out already. A good 6-7 tenths of a second on Vascolampi. That just shows you just how important that Agostini hairpin really is. People don't give it the credence that sometimes it deserves. And that was a corner that really had a lot of people guessing there. Vascolampi certainly one of them in this certain section. But right now, it's now about Krolczyk because he's looking to be the man to get past Peter Konechny. And Konechny in the 15 started 7th, still in 7th. He's just running a very respectable race. Try and get as many points as I can.
He's working on it indeed. On that nice onboard camera there. Looking back at Krolczyk chasing. You know, back to Vascolampi just real quick. Vascolampi with trouble, gets off the course. Martin
Barry West. Barry West off the course as well, so Martin Blaze looking to attack Vascolampi. Barry West loses one to Peter Konechny at the final corner there. That very, very important one of Murray's, and it didn't work out for either driver there as Blaze makes to make a big dive down to the inside here on the driver of Vascolampi. It doesn't quite pay off on the exit. Blaze had a nose in, but it was just a nose, no more, as Barry West holds on now, has to be dealing with Cedric Krolczyk in the battle for position 7 and, well, for positions 7 and 8 out on circuit. So worrying times ahead for these drivers, and of course that crosswind, especially at that final corner, it's so easy for the vehicle just to be pushed out of line. You've got to be so careful now at Murray's.
Yeah, you really do, Jake. That's a very, very tough turn. Oh, Konechny off track there just a little bit, gets off in the dirt.
But he holds position, and that's going to be the crucial factor in that one there. Konechny runs off wide. In fact, he loses 2 positions. My mistake. He doesn't lose any more. And that's Oggies there being a very difficult braking zone. You've got no markers, as you have to be incredibly careful. Now look at this then. As Konechny under pressure from Vascolampi. You look in front. Barry West under pressure now from Cedric Krolczyk, looking to try and make positions incredibly quickly here in this event. And, well, right now, Cedric Krolczyk seems to be the man on the move, the man on the mission. He looks like he is up for a fight.
They are fighting indeed. Boy, this has been a good one. A great start to this race so far. You know what? Up front, Jake, Morera still pushing, still trying to find the edge. It's just not there yet.
Well, if he's trying to find the edge, he may need to be an ultimate opportunist. If he looks to try and find that edge, it takes one mistake here, but he's got to find a chink in the proverbial Vandenberg armor, which apparently seems to be the toughest armor in all of the Netherlands, it seems, at this stage for him at the moment. But Still, though, we look further back because Konechny's still on that defense from Vaskalampi, and this is where some of the issues with Snetterton comes into play, because there isn't really too much of a long straight in this really tight and technical section to work with. Most of these corners are passing corners in the fact that you use it to get momentum for the next one. Look at the momentum, though, that Vaskalampi can get through Hamilton.
Yeah, he gets a good run through there, and it really helps. These 5 cars right now cutting their own little hole in the air and claiming their own little bit of real estate here, Jake. I gotta imagine at some point somebody's gonna want to try and get themselves better at least one of these positions here.
Yeah, a lot of drivers want one more position here, and let's not forget that we're not even halfway through this event. In fact, we will be halfway around about now here as the drivers start lap 9 of their events. The gap at the front, 0.7 of a second between Vandenberg and Moreira. Back to Matt Wood, 1 second is the difference. And because we've got one split here today, lap traffic may become a factor later on in this event, a lot more heavier than we have seen in the opening 2 rounds today, Sean. And that's going to be crucial because negotiating lap traffic is always an art form that is very seldom mastered.
Yeah, you're right about that, Jake. Hey, listen, Cedric Krolchik is having some connection issues right now. He's blinked out on me. The French driver, oh boy, was up there in 6th place, and Barry West now advancing that position. He's still gone on my timing and scoring here.
I think that's it. And, you know, when they happen, and there's not much you can do about it. And I think Krolchik will be the angriest man right now, the angriest man in all of France, because I think his day is going to be just about done for his races. Konechny now suddenly sees that. Barry West will see a lot of happiness because he's now suddenly got a gap of about a second back to Konechny, and Konechny, the man under pressure, Vaskalampi's got to follow him almost like a hawk at this stage, but you can see he just doesn't get into the toe quick enough, and that high downforce from everybody is just negating everything when it comes to this long straight.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Jake. And you know what Vaskalampi's got to guard against is just overdriving it, and you know, for the sake of trying to find that position, just got to guard against that every turn.
Ooh! He's had a look. It was a desperate look, I'd say, but a look nevertheless from Martin Blaise. Blaise was hoping for something, and well, he's certainly trying to set this race up ablaze, you would certainly think. Vaskalampi still going for it. We're going to get ourselves then a little bit of a replay up on screen of exactly what happened, and you can see he just tried to look for it. It didn't quite happen the way that he would have wanted it to, but to the front, there's a driver being dropped. His name's Matt Wood. He was 1.4 seconds back on that last lap. He's now really got to put in those lap times to get himself back into play in this event. He's doing good lap times, 35.9, fastest lap of the day, 2 laps ago for him, 36.1 following. Leaders, though, they just set their purple laps, and Nuno Moreira holds the fastest lap, 35.6.
Well, Nuno's he's got to pass him, Jake. He's got to figure out a way to pass him. Those fast laps are great, but he just can't seem to get around.
And that drift from the driver, Michel Vandenberg, maybe personifying it, because Moreira has some pace, but he's got to find a way now to really work it and use it and make it happen. Here comes Vaskalampi, though, under pressure. Blaise, though's got to do an up and under down at Nelson. Can't get the power down, so he doesn't make the move happen. Good defense there from Vaskalampi. He was not afraid to run his normal line through that corner to try and stave off the challenge of Martin Blaise. Vaskalampi with a very strong defense.
Blaise got to be getting frustrated back there. He's tried almost everything, Jake. I got to think his tool bag is getting close to empty back there.
Well, he may just have to throw the kitchen sink if he's not too careful in this one, because there's not much you can say apart from you've got to go out there and try and do everything that you can to keep your race in check. Leaders at the front, though, again, it's Nuno Moreira closing in. Lap times were a little slower that time, but another 10th locked off from Moreira brings the gap back down under 6. But Now, this is where the dirty air effect comes into play here for Nuno Moreira, because he's trying to take these different lines to try and maximize a bit of time, but every time he gets caught in the middle of a corner, that vehicle is going to become a little bit looser, a little bit more difficult to handle, and you're having to do more corrections to try and bring that vehicle back.
Yeah, of course, every time you've got to correct it, this chance of overcorrecting it, and boy, that can really be a problem, Jake.
Oh, it certainly can, and well, a lot of drivers will be hoping that they can connect it and can correct it in certain situations, as we do see Cedric Krolschick get back out onto circuit now, 1 lap down in 18th position. He's come out just behind Matthew Molnar here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Krolschick unlap himself in comparison to the 18 machine, and I think he'll do that as quickly as he possibly can. Isaac Vascalampi just wants to make everything happen. He's completely dropped Martin Blaze. Blaze has had a shocker of a lap. Vascalampi now looking at Peter Konechny thinking, you know what, 6th position doesn't seem too bad of an opportunity here. 7th first, though, would be nice.
And he's certainly working on it. A little bit at a time here. Still plenty of time as we approach the halfway point of this race, Jake.
Yes, that will be at the end of this lap, and another fastest lap for the driver, Nuno Moreira. 1:35.4, gap under 4/10. Little look then into Agostini, but he has to check out of it there, take the wider line, trying to pick up the run off the exit. Doesn't quite work for Nuno Moreira in the number 1 machine, into the left-hander. They come along of Hamilton, and then into Oggies once again. Moreira, well, he's searching and searching, but he's a man trying to look for something like, I don't know, maybe a contact lens in the brink of the night, shall I say? Blink of the night, goodness me. But that's the point that we're trying to make here, is that Moreira is searching and he just can't seem to find it.
Which is strange. We're used to seeing him it almost seems like autopilot for him most races, where he can find the speed and lead these racers or hunt somebody down and get by him. And Vandenberg seems to have that just slight advantage today over Nuno, but you know what? Nuno's still got some time to figure this out.
I do have to say it's an easier circuit to defend on than it is to attack on, and that might just be what is playing into the mind of Nuno Moreira. And mind games start to come into play as we hit the halfway stage of this one. 20 minutes put in on the clock right now, just a little bit under the gap at the front. 0.2 of a second then, as Moreira, he's been closing and closing and closing all these laps. He's never been able to quite find the one magic moment to get Vandenberg here. And this is another point of contention. Incident points there, excuse me 1 second. Because instant points come into play. It's 17 in every single race, but this circuit is revered for being one of the tougher circuits when it comes to how much you can go off track.
Yeah, well, I certainly picked up my share of them in practice. I can attest to that. As I look up and down the board, I don't see anybody in any real trouble yet, Jake, but certainly that in the closing laps, that could change quickly if you get yourself in a situation where you're going, as I said before, overdriving the car and exploring the out-of-bound limits of this track.
Oh, you can explore a lot of limits when it comes to this one, but there's traffic ahead now for Vandenberg. He's got Scott Anderson and Kurt Bennett in front of him in the 19 and the 17 machines. The pair of them have both made gains here during this event. Bennett up 2, Anderson up 4, as they look to try and just gain a little bit of time, maybe get some feel into these vehicles, and you can see just how much the difference is comparatively between the pair of them. Vandenberg's so much more content to take the lines that he does. Scott Anderson's times, mind you, are 7 seconds slower right now than Michel Vandenberg's, and look at Moreira, monster by.
Yeah, a good job by Anderson just kind of getting out of the way and letting that happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing with lap traffic when they're slower. Sometimes they can be a bigger hindrance than they can be a help. So Vandenberg now has to negotiate Kurt Bennett. His last time at a 1:41.6. The difference there, 36 flat for Vandenberg, 36.1 for Moreira. Gets out of the way very, very early. Well done by Kurt Bennett. Moreira again having a look, but that's just a look. Nothing more, nothing less, as now Vascalampi is through on the driver of Peter Konechny and did that unbelievably around the outside at turn number 1. And wow, it just seemed to me that there was just no hookup from the driver of Konechny through that section. I'm going to need a second look at it, and we're going to get it here on the GSRC replay. And he heads into turn number 1. He's trying to connect it, and he's just trying to save a slide ever so slightly there, Sean. Just not much that you can do. It didn't look like much, but trying to save that slide, micromanaging that vehicle, had to get back out off the throttle, and that's enough for Vascalampi to make a stunning move.
Right, and that's that's what you hope for when you're in just such a tight battle like this, like Vascalampi has been in, and he, waiting for that opportunity, was really, really keen to be all over it there and take it.
Yeah, and take it you must. There's not many opportunities you get at Snetterton, so he'll take it by the scruff of the neck, as now he's got Bristolian Barry West that he'll have to deal with just in front of him. And now Barry West, this is a test of his mettle here. He's got to make sure he holds on to this one, scores as many points as he feels that he is certainly going to be able to do in this one, as the battle right now between Bycroft and Frazier now starting to close up out on circuit. The difference was 0.05 of a second last time in Bycroft's favour, but the gap 2.1 seconds between the two. Bycroft can't afford mistakes from here.
No, we can't, Jake, because you know what? West worked awful hard to get where he's at and hold on to it. And boy, just behind him, Vascalampi makes a little bit of a mistake there, runs it out a little bit wide. West, though, hanging on to this. But you know what? Anything in front of him goes wrong. He's got a chance to mine a couple more positions.
Oh, yes, and that can certainly be the case, as a big drift from Vascalampi in the 4 machine means that he's got to be careful here with Barry West just in front, that he doesn't lose himself out of a slipstream range, as Konechny now sits and waits and looks to haunt the drivers in front. But back to the old well we go again here, because Nuno Moreira is starting to be dropped a little bit here by Michel Vandenberg as they head through Coram to look to start lap 16. Vehicle off in front, though. Oh, that's Jason Wallart. And, well, position number 6 then. We will have a look, because Barry West has not had the best of runs. He's lost the position to Vascalampi. Well, nothing really happened with Nuno Moreira there, Sean, but what we did see was a vehicle off just in front of Moreira, but it was that move that we saw with Vascalampi that was really, really crucial. It was down to the inside at Williams. It was a mistake from the driver of Barry West.
It was, and West's going to lose the car, slides it in there just a bit, locks up the brakes, and allows Vascalampi to get around and take that position.
Well, it's as easy as that at times, and sometimes some sim racers really do make life very easy. And in fact, Moreira has had some issues over this last lap. He's now back 2.6 seconds, was defending. It was down in the final corner, and that is a chink, a rare chink in the armor. He was too aggressive into Murray's, heavy over the curb, and if he's not careful, if he hits that wrong, suspension damage does become a bit of an issue with that vehicle.
Oh, yes, it does. You do not want to hurt the suspension on this Lotus 79. A very, very fickle beast when she's damaged.
A beast that does not like being dealt with when it is hurt and backed into a corner. That much we have seen over this year. But now it is not Moreira versus Vandenberg. Now it may be Moreira versus Matt Wood, as Matt Wood doesn't really have too much of an opportunity here to really close at this stage of this one. Tell you someone else who's coming back into this one, Martin Blaze in the 9. He's finding Konechny, shall I say, and Konechny's got to be careful here, because he knows that he can't afford to let time go away. Blaze has been known to go for any door that has been opened.
Yeah, and you know what, Blaze, he's putting in the work, man. Konechny, not impossible to get that position from him. We've seen a couple of good battles here today, Konechny and West, and now the 3 of them hooking back up on track again together.
They certainly are, and they've got to deal with Scott Anderson, who should get out of the way as quickly and as effectively as we know that he has done earlier on. Moves down to the inside, hits the brakes very heavily, lets 1 through, lets 2 through, and well, Martin Blaze is going to have to be a man who waits for the exit. Just gets checked up a little bit, but Anderson did the right thing, tried to go heavy to the inside to make life as easy as possible for the driver of Martin Blaze. So no harm, no foul, nothing wrong with that, but you have to say, for the 3 Machine of Vandenberg, that was a testament to his steely resolve and defense there. Didn't do anything wrong and forced Moreira to make the mistake.
Right, and you know what? I think that mistake is going to cost Moreira more than second place before this is said and done. I like what Matt Wood's doing right now. He has managed to reel him in just a little bit. Hasn't really translated to lap time, but Matt Wood's there. He's got it under a second now.
He does, and that's going to be very crucial. The gap when they last crossed the line was 1.1 seconds between the pair of them. We'll see what the gap now looks like as Moreira's had a shocking lap of 36.2 compared to Vandenberg's 35.5. He's checked out. Wood with a 35.8 gains 0.4 of a second, and now suddenly, out of nowhere, Nuno Moreira, the championship leader, has a battle on his hands, and the reigning champion has to be careful here at Matt Wood. And we say Matt Wood a lot of the time is like the Mark Webber here of the CTC. Always brilliant at qualifying, never quite gets the results that you expect him to. But today, Matt Wood is proving a lot of doubters wrong here today.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the curse of Alfa Romeo that's killing Matt Wood. I don't know, man. What do you think about that?
We'll have a think. We'll get back to you later on. But Matt Wood here in this situation, he's trying everything, but Moreira, what a good lap he's had actually for this one. He's trying to pull this one away, and you know, this is a testament of a champion. Starts to see that gap close up. Nope, that's not going to happen. Bring and build that gap back up again and hope that there's still a chance of taking a victory.
You know, I think Nuno looked in the mirror, the relative one or the other, and said, yeah, you know what, I better get a little busier up here. Matt Wood trying to make this race interesting. Still under a second.
Still under that 1 second. Here comes Martin Blaze, though, in the 9. He's looking at Peter Konechny, thinking there's a chance for position number 8 just in a moment's time. On the brakes, then into Brundle, into Nelson, the pair of them go. And that was a lot more measured from Martin Blaze that time as he looks to search for it. Bomb hole time, and there was a massive mistake from Konechny. Got all out of shape at the very difficult bomb hole, which is one of the most unique corners in all of sim racing, mainly because someone decided during the war to drop a bomb on it.
Is that bomb still there?
Nope.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. But the indent's still there. That's why the bomb hole is shaped the way it does. You can see big defensive move then from Konechny through 1. He's under pressure now as he heads into Wilson of turn number 2. Blaze down to the inside. And, well, take that as you will. Peter Konechny loses the position. All of his own doing there. That was a half a lap where Martin Blaze piled the pressure on. There was not much that Peter Konechny could do in response. He drops down now to position number 9, -2.
Blaze back to where it all started, right there in 8th place.
Running deep there through the corner as well. Both of them getting caught up there. I think Konechny was starting to look at the brakes, has a think about it into the left-hander of Hamilton, backs out of it though. You don't normally make a move into Hamilton. It's such a short run to that section, Sean. You've got to be so mindful of what happens there.
Well, Barry West is enjoying that battle too. He's done nothing but let him get away. 2.3 seconds now in front of Blaze. Not really closing on Vascalampi, though. Vascalampi 3.8 seconds ahead. Vascalampi up 7 spots, sitting there in that 6th place. It'll be looks to be a decent points day for him if he can hang on.
Oh, it's a very decent points day for Teemu Vascalampi. He's maybe a little bit disappointed that Adam Frazier has checked out about 16 seconds down the road, but that's sometimes the margins that you play with when you get into racing like this. Sometimes you've got to work hard to get the points and get the results that certainly come your way. But it seems that the battle's now starting to maybe dry out just a little bit, as we still have, though, this battle going on. Anderson versus Bennett here. This one going on for what is position number 2. And we're having a bit of issue somewhere else.
Yeah, Adam Frazier spins it. Matthew Molnar had checked up in the turn right in front of him.
Oh, and that's a very interesting thing that's happened. Replay is up on screen, and Frazier, well, yes, he does get a bit checked up, and, well, he saw the gap open, and he just I don't want to say lazy because that's not the right word for it, but it's just a case of not letting that vehicle, keep itself in check there. Just saw the vehicle, slightly panicked, I think Adam Frazier did, not used to that situation, and just spun the vehicle around. He's fortunate he had that gap to Vascalampi. That gap may be a little bit less now, but let's focus back to where we were trying to get to. Anderson versus Bennett, and Anderson trying everything now to stay with Bennett, and it's just not happening, the consistency for Anderson.
Ooh, somebody just went purple.
Somebody?
Jake, are you seeing that?
Not
just anybody.
Does it start with Nuno and Ender Moreira?
It does start with Nuno and Ender Moreira, yeah.
Oh dear, so the pressure now telling here with 6 laps to go. Moreira is not close enough at this stage to close that gap down at 4/10 a lap. Traffic of Pajari out of the way for Vandenberg, but now Moreira's got to close in. This is the pressure now from Nuno Moreira. He knows he can't catch him at this stage, but if he goes as quick as he can, he's forcing Vandenberg to go as quick as he can. That could mean that Vandenberg may be forced into a mistake. It's the Prost Senna effect at Monaco.
Right, yeah, no, exactly. And Pajari has a chance to either be a real heel here or a really, really good guy.
Baby face, I think you're trying to find. And you can see into the left-hander. Hold up Moreira as he gets on the brakes, and he will not be a happy man that Pajari has held him up. Not going to be able to make the move either into the bomb hole. Finally lets him go, and that could be the death knell in the coffin for Nuno Moreira's charge. Vandenberg, the gap was 2.4, remember. I see that gap being over 3 seconds. As things stand, they head through Murray's, the pair of them do. Moreira will look at that time. It's a long run to the start-finish line, which will be very beneficial come the end, but that gap up only to 2.6 though, so didn't lose as much time as I thought he did in that situation, but still enough to stave off the run for a little longer.
And here comes Matt Wood. Matt was about 5/10 quicker than Nuno, and that traffic, Pajari helped him out just a little bit. He was able to get by clean and at speed.
Yes, he was. So Matt Wood started to come back into this, though. Eyes on Blaze. He's looking at Konechny once again, and Konechny here has to be careful. Konechny got himself back past Martin Blaze whilst we're looking at other incidents. So Martin Blaze now has to feel, I've got a chance to get this one back. A 37-1 the last time by from Blaze, and both of them catching Barry West, who will now be feeling the effects of 2 drivers behind, wanting to get by the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th out on circuit. And Barry West, well, he hasn't really been involved in a battle as such, but we do know that Barry West has now got to be very, very careful in the final 5.
It's going to be nothing. I don't think anything's come too easy for Barry today. He's got to keep it under control here and stay focused over these last 4.5 laps.
But they are very, very important 4.5 laps for Barry West. He wants those points. He regularly is in and out of a top split race when the top split comes into play. So Barry West needs everything he can get here today to get some really massive points on the board, as Blaze behind again looks for Peter Konechny. Doesn't quite get that gap closed down this long Bentley straight into Brundle. Into the right-hander they come along then of Nelson. Not quite happening yet, but Moreira takes another few tenths out of it with a 35.2 flat. That is the fastest lap of the day by far and away. Another 3 tenths only, though, to the driver of Vandenberg, and it's got to be now, with 4 laps to go, 6/10 of a second at a time, and Vandenberg slightly slidey there through Agostini. He's got to be careful. Moreira gets the same sort of slide, though, with the wind coming into play.
Yeah, in my practice sessions I was in were really not a lot of wind. I can only imagine how this has got to feel to some of these guys right now trying to battle this. Very gusty right now.
Oh, it certainly is. You've got to be careful about when those winds are gusting up. Simpkins, though, he may have to let through Cedric Krolschick here, who is the quicker of the two. Of course, Krolschick 1 lap down after technical issues that he's had earlier on. Simpkins, though, doesn't have any reason why he has to at that situation, but we continue to look at the battle between Blaze and Konechny, as Konechny just starting to get that little bit of a gap here. It seems that Konechny is really well suited to this middle section of the lap. It really suits Konechny's driving style here, as he looks to try and close up again to Barry West, who just pulls away through these long 90-degree corners. I think he suits a street circuit here, does Barry West. Here comes Blaze.
Blaze, take a look here, maybe. Hashtag send it.
Oh, Club Aussie New Zealand likes to see that, but look at that wide line from Konechny. Blaze has to get out of it, though, as they head to the bomb hole. And there, Konechny making another mistake at this section of circuit. Blaze not able to capitalise the way you thought in through Coram, and he's hoping to try and hook that vehicle up. Doesn't quite hook it the way that he wants to into the left-hander. Doesn't work out then for Martin Blaze in the 9 machine, as he looks for Konechny to make a more decisive error. Slightly going wide is one thing, doing something else is another. But Nuno Moreira is beaten because Michel Vandenberg went 1,000th of a second quicker on fastest lap and took a second out of Nuno Moreira.
Well, it really seems like the good action has been in the middle of this pack for most of the race. We had some big trouble on the opening lap, but since then it's been really clean, Jake. These guys really mastering the Snetterton 300 layout, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have done, and they've done so really well. They've kept it all nice and tidy, bundled into a nice little ball, and they've kept it going with 3 laps to go. But of course, there is time for change, as Konechny now will not be thinking about how do I get past Barry West. He'll now be thinking, how do I survive for the final 3 laps against this driver of what is Martin Blaze. And Blaze, the Canadian, the French-Canadian, trying everything, and he gets a very good run off of Williams here. Unable to close down that gap the way that he maybe would have thought about it. He gets some resemblance, thinks about going to the inside, goes to the outside, runs very, very deep through the corner, and he will drop back 6/10, 7/10 a second by just being out of position. He thought about it, but again, it's just a thought, and maybe Martin Blaze needs to work on his decision-making here to make him a better driver.
Maybe so, Jake. That right there was ill-advised, and boy, cost him so much there on track. That might be it. That might be done and dusted, because look at that. Konechny just continues to pull away, heading down to turn 1.
And I think Michel Vandenberg's been a little bit held up on this lap as well. And that's from a little bit of lap traffic there in front of him. It was Keith Herner in the 13, who is in 11th position, +1 for his day right now, doing a very good job of things to keep himself in that position. But when they cross the line, the white flag is going to fly. And Sean, well, there's not much more you can say from this. Vandenberg has absolutely been the best driver on track by far and away.
I'm not going to argue with you on that at all. Nuno Moreira has worked hard, given it probably just about everything he's got, but this race has belonged to Vandenberg since the green flag dropped, and this last trip around, he will be rewarded handsomely with a victory here at the Snetterton 300 circuit.
Don't count your chickens, though. Anything happens in sim racing, and there have been so many races where it has all gone awry on the final lap. For example, 2 races ago when Moreira ran presumably out of fuel on the last lap. Vandenberg can't afford to make that happen here on the final 3 miles at the circuit here of Snetterton. That battle that's still going on between West, Konechny and Blaze. Well, Blaze is back, and he's got one last opportunity when it happens. West runs wide, gets a huge wiggle. No momentum here. Barry West will lose 1. I think he may lose a second as well to Martin Blaze. Blaze will now move to the inside, look to try and pick up that run into Riches. And I think Barry West has just cost himself 2 positions on the final lap. Unbelievable then from the driver of Barry West. He'll still fight it towards turn number 2. Defensive line from Blaze around the outside. Tries the driver of Barry West. It doesn't work for him. Inside line will be taken to Agostini, but to Michel Vandenberg. He's still got a few corners left to go, and he's taking it easy. You can see Moreira trying everything to close it down. Runs a little bit wide, but it will not matter, because just Coram and Murray's remain for Michel Vandenberg. He stood head and shoulders above the rest. He is the impenetrable armor that Moreira can't go through, and arguably the pride of the Netherlands will come home and win a big one. Michel Vandenberg wins at Snetterton. Moreira gets second, Wood gets third, but back to Barry West, who is now the man under pressure from Martin Blaze. Blaze has managed to not be able to do much about it. The move done back through at Agostini, a perfect move from the driver of what was Barry West. We'll get a replay of that then at the end of this one. Blaze thinks about it into Brundle, doesn't work here. Now running out of opportunities, has the final chance available to him as they head towards the bomb hole. Wide though from the driver of Barry West, but I think he's just pulled out enough of a gap here on this final lap. But don't count your chickens. We've still got this final corner left to go. And again, Barry West runs wide. Drag race. Blaze could steal one. And he's got the outside track. Drag race still alive between the pair of them. And Martin Blaze has stolen it away by just 27 thousandths of a second. Oh my goodness. And Jake, the Agostini pass up on screen here, Sean.
That all started back in Agostini, and you're gonna see West take it back from Blaze. Or I'm sorry, Blaze take it back from West after he was just passed. And it just all unfolds from there. I mean, just a crazy sequence of events there on that last lap.
It happens just like that. It really does. It really, really does. You can never count your chickens in a race. And we said it at the final corner there. It was going to have to be careful tiptoeing from Barry West in the end. He just ran a little bit too wide, a little bit too deep. And in the end, it didn't quite work out for him. But ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is step aside for just one moment, because when we come back, the post-race show here on the Global Sim Racing channel, you're watching the CTC Lotus 79 series. Well, sometimes it threatened to maybe start going to sleep a little bit, but you can never say never on the Global Sim Racing channel. Somehow, some way, there will be a battle to the flag, and that was no different from the race that we saw today. A very good race overall. A lot of drivers then getting their opportunity in front of the lights today. Of course, one of the final few broadcasts of the year here at the Global Sim Racing channel, but classified results will be as follows. Michel Vandenberg takes back the initiative, now is the most winningest driver this season. 2 out of 3 for him as he takes a great victory here today at the circuit of Snetterton, 1.7 seconds clear of Nuno Moreira in second overall. Matt Wood, a very good challenge for him today, only 3 seconds back in third. Steve Bycroft had a very quiet race overall, but he'll be very happy with the way that 4th position has come his way. Adam Frazier will finish 5th, with Teemu Vaskalampi by far and away one of the biggest movers and shakers, 13th to 6th, plus 7 in 6th position. Peter Konechny will finish in 7th, with Martin Blaze stealing one by 27 thousandths of a second over Barry West for 9th, and Robert Simpkins will have another quiet day, the final vehicle on the leading lap. He finishes in 10th.
All right, Jake, and it's going to be the New Jersey driver, Robert Simpkins, picking up 5 spots and finishing in 10th, but we said that already. Keith Herner could have finished 11th today. Alan Pajari, what a great race for him. He started 20th, finishes 12th. Robert Cottle, 13th. Matthew Molnar, 14th. Jason Wallet, 15th. Cedric Rolchik, 16th. 17th, going to go to Kurt Bennett. Scott Anderson, 18th. And boy, trouble for Tony Teolis there on the opening lap. Ben Chalet and John Stevens find it all hard to complete this race. Tony Teolis, he did get 23 laps in, but Chalet and Stevens, after that first lap incident, were out.
And it is a shame to see 2 drivers out of the event. It's been a long day, Sean, I think it has been for you, and it's only going to get a little bit longer with the final broadcast of GSRC's 2017 just a little bit later on. But before that, though, the first person that we do need to talk to has to be the man who finished second here today. Nuno Moreira always comes in, always nice to have a chat with him. And well, Nuno, today didn't quite happen the way you wanted it to. Second position, though, but still some very good points.
Hello. Yeah, it's not bad. This is as I began to understand during the week. This is a very difficult circuit to overtake. It's really impossible if the guy in front doesn't make a huge mistake. So I was really close to Mitchell most of the race, and I even touched him at the slow part there, and I thought that I was maybe following too close. So I tried to I tried to win, but there was absolutely no chance. Mitchell made an impeccable race. He didn't make any major mistakes, so he did what he had to do when you start from P1. It's get to the end clean, and he did that very well. So congratulations to him. And well, second place is not that bad. Of course, everybody likes to win. I'm no exception, but I'm okay. And I think it was a well-disputed race. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it certainly was a very good race result for you in second. But of course, as every champion knows, you want to be on the top step of that podium. But, today, a lot of people were saying I'd rather run the 200 in comparison to the 300. The circuit has less technical sections. It has less need to be downforce dependent for you today. Do you feel that the 300 was the best decision on circuit?
Yeah, I have to agree with the people that say that the 200 might be more interesting, because the technical part that this circuit has is interesting, and not so interesting even for hot lapping. But during the race, it doesn't bring any special difficulty or special risky spot. If you follow your line, if you try to optimize your speed during turn, hey, you're safe. It's almost impossible to make an overtake there. So for those reasons, I prefer the 202, as it is less complicated, but it is also very difficult to overtake. So to me, Snetterton could be one circuit that we could scrap from the championship. But well, it's a track. It has tarmac. It has limits. Hey, let's go and have fun.
Well, of course, you always look to try and push it. And the final thing before we let you go, you know, we're seeing the CTC now get more and more relevance when it comes to sim racing. That no more apparent than the Sim Racing Observer putting you yourself, Nuno, 41st out of all sim racers in the world. Do you feel that classic Lotus racing now really does have a place in the iRacing service and really has a place for top talent such as yourself?
I don't know what you're talking about, first. Second, yes, we do have this huge amount of talent in the Lotus. People here, and I truly believe this, and I know because I run other series from time to time, and I know that the best guys here in the Lotus are really, really talented drivers. And I won't name anyone because you know who I'm talking about. Hey, you have Michiel that won today, you have Gernot, you have Jonas, you have, I'm going to forget someone, Kale Rucola, I don't know, so many talented guys. If you go to the top 10, those guys are awesome. They are really very good and solid drivers. And we share this common thing, that is the dedication to this old car. And old, I wouldn't call it old, it's a classic car. It's one of the cars that revolutionized Formula One. So it is something that we have in common, the love for the Lotus 79, and that's why we stick here, because of the cool competition. Everybody is super talented, super dedicated, and that makes a unique environment in sim racing. And I know that there might be other leagues where you have this kind of dedication, and there's other series. I'm not taking anything away from any other series, but I know that this is a very special place, the Lotus 79. And just to conclude, and I just wanted you to give me the opportunity. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but I wanted to leave a few words here. First, happy New Year to all the Lotus community, race guys, and all the sim racing community in general, and a few words of remembering and having a soft spot in our hearts. And I know I'm talking about a lot of people here, and like a big hug to Johan Orlampi, which is hopefully recovering from this disease. Sergio Macias also at the same spot. So Sergio, come back soon. Forgetting the name of the American guy. Come on. Can you help me here? Tony Lamberti, the great Tony Lamberti, that we know that he is already also recovering, and Robert Simpkins also from a nasty accident, but gladly he's back on track. So I just wanted to leave this friendly reminder, or friendly words to these guys, because I know that in no time they will be back with us, and hopefully in very, very good shape, in better shape. So this is all from me. Logging out. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great 218.
No worries. Nuno Moreira, ever the gracious man, finishing home in second position here today. But Sean, well, one thing certainly does get a little bit of a sour note at the end of 2017, and Barry West will be not the happiest man as he joins us. You've got him.
Barry's, are you kidding? Barry's always happy. But Barry, what an end to that race, man.
Yeah, that was exciting, wasn't it? Eh? We put on a show for you guys.
Yeah, a bit of a show. Now, are you disappointed, or are you okay with that?
Yeah, well, I thought I had it all under control, and you should. It never ends till she's singing, is it? You know, and yeah, that was a bit annoying, really, because I thought I had it under control. Last 2 seconds on those last two laps, I just didn't change down into second gear. I thought I was in second gear when I was coming out of the last bend. And I was in third, so that's long and short of it. By the time I got going again, it was all over. Peter got me last but one lap, and then Martin got me to the line. But we had a little battle before, and I got the lead back, and got over Martin, and and then I go and screw it up on the last bend again. So yeah, one of those things.
It happens that way sometimes, man. And but hey, listen, it was so much fun. It was great to watch that battle. I guess since we asked Nuno, I've got to ask you. Give us your review of the Snetterton 300 circuit. What do you think?
Well, it's funny. It's a third race I've done here, and I just seem to get slower as the race goes on. I don't know what it is. Whether you get nervous or more tentative, or. But every race, I mean, that's the only excitement I've had in the three races when I've been close to other cars, because I've been it seems to spread cars out, and you just have to trade lap times, and it's just about being consistent. And if you're not consistent, you're all over the shop. I mean, you can just miss one apex, and it can cost you like half a second. So it's not my favourite track, I wouldn't say. I think the 200 track's probably, even with the nasty bump, it's more fun for racing. Varying setups. It depends what setup you got as well, I suppose. If you've got low downforce or high downforce, but it's a credit to people the few crashes we've had, because if you've got low downforce and that you're going slow through the slow bends, the people behind can get really frustrated. So it can be lead to accidents. But it looks like we all had a pretty clean race by the looks of it.
Well, it was a pretty clean race. Aside from a little bit of trouble in the back there on the opening lap, it was a clean one. All right, real quick before we let you go and wrap up 2018 with you guys, what's New Year's Eve for Barry West? What do you got going on?
Wow, I'm going over to have a Chinese meal with my new Chinese sister-in-law.
Nice.
And see my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Well, two brother-in-laws, two sister-in-laws. So we'll spend the evening with them. Don't see them very often, and it's nice that they're over here. But yeah, that should be fun. Look for a proper Chinese meal.
All right. Well, happy New Year to you there, Barry.
And the same to you guys. Yeah, you really doing a good job there, and look forward to see the next one.
Well, we look forward to being back with you next week, sir, and we will see you then.
Yeah. Okay then. Cheers, Owen.
And cheers to Barry West, and cheers to you, Jake. A very happy birthday, early happy birthday to you, Jake. Jake is a New Year's Eve baby, everybody. So if you didn't know that, you know it now. Jake Sperry, I think you're, well, I'm not going to tell your age. I'll leave that to you. But yeah, congratulations, man. Happy birthday.
I know, I'm starting to get old. I'm the big 2-0. I'm 20 of all things. So
God,
that just shows you how old I'm getting at this stage. But unfortunately, on what is a happy note, actually, so I'd say fortunately on a happy note being my birthday, no ego intended, that's all we're going to have time for then here this evening on the Global Sim Racing channel. But of course, we have to go through our list of thank yous that we do every single time. Of course, our thanks have to go out to all the drivers and all the teams of the Classic Teams Championship for their stunning battles and their decision to fly GSRC. And of course, thank you to all of you who have been watching this one at home. Thank yous also have to go out to the companies, equipment and software that you have been involved or affiliated with this afternoon's broadcast. We'd also like to thank Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde for the music that you have heard this afternoon. Details of how to contact them are on screen right now. And speaking about contacts, if you are wishing to have your series broadcast, or you just want to find out when the next dose of sim racing action or otherwise is live, pop over to globalsimracingchannel.com or check us up on social media with the Twitter handle @GSR Channel, or catch us on Facebook as the Global Sim Racing Channel. A new year brings a new opportunity, and that will be the case as we head to a solitary road that lies in America, because Road America will be hosting the 4th round. But as always, that has been Sean Ambrose, that has been Amjad Yamin, that has also been the man who some say will kick off his 2018 not with a bang, but with a camera pack. That is Dougie Beard. I have been #DoMind Jake Sperry, and Michel Vandenberg. Well, once you may call it a fluke, twice you're starting to show your class now, son. We'll always remember, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you in 2018.